Hey friends, today I'm just gonna try to make a quick simple video about the setup and the operation of the Blue Viper tire changer. This is a dual arm. This is what FT350 I believe is the model number, and the WB100 balancer, both Blue Viper units, and they both seem to be pretty good. The reviews and the comments and things like that online seem to be very positive, and it seems to function very well so far, even though they're cheap. But first thing, of course, when it comes in the box, no instruction manual whatsoever. No instructions, nothing. So this piece, this black knob screws into this piece. This is not screwed into here, but first you screw this into here, and then you screw this black knob to the top. This whole arm assembly, the rest of it's all one piece, I believe, with no hoses connected. This hose I think is connected, but the other hose down below is not, but we'll get to that. This wheel isn't in there, and then this whole arm setup is separate as well. So that's kind of the basics. You can tell this whole arm assembly goes here, this assembly goes on there, but I wouldn't tighten those 6 bolts up yet until you have this up here bolted together, because otherwise it might not align properly. So I'd say thread them all in, and then align it, tighten it up here, you know, try to line it up, and then tighten it all down. And then your bead blaster just slides onto the back there. Pretty straightforward, 2 bolts. I think they're in there already from the factory, but the bead blaster just slides on. Your lines are all pretty straightforward. This fitting here was different, so I had to screw that out. I had to be very careful because it was almost impossible to get that fitting out. Like it would not turn. So anyway, I put a wrench in behind there just to brace it a little bit, and I did eventually get it out. Just be very careful because it seems like it's all plastic, but it is cool that it has all this. It's got the pressure gauge and a leaking fitting down there. That's what the air is blowing from, but I'll get to that. Built-in regulator as well, I believe, and then an oiler as well. So that you keep that full of pneumatic oil, I guess, and that automatically oils the machine and all the components. Most of the fittings, all the fittings you're going to need to mess with are these push style fittings, kind of like shark bites for plumbing. And this, of course, like I said, is your bead blaster. These lines in the back are pretty straightforward. Like, you can't really mess them up because they'll only reach one area each. So this line goes in the bottom of there, and that other line goes underneath to your bead blaster. That is the fitting that is leaking. I looked at it already. It is cracked. It is leaking. I'm going to get them to send me a new one. And then, of course, this is installed already. You've got your inflator with a gauge and everything here already, which is awesome. And, of course, your bead blaster hose. It mentions a handle. It doesn't come with a handle. Somebody else mentioned that too already. It looks like there's a place to bolt a handle, but there is no handle. So, I'm not sure what's up with that. But this thing is a monster. Like, it'll blast probably even skid steer tires and such. Just a disclaimer, I have never had a tire machine before. I've operated one a couple of times in the past, and I have very, very little experience, so I just don't want somebody thinking I'm a veteran with all this. This is all new to me, but I couldn't find much online. That's why I'm making this video. But most of it's pretty straightforward. All these lines, like I said, they just slide in there. There's another one back here, I believe, that you have to connect there. There's your power cord. It doesn't even have a power switch for some reason, even though that one does. But anyway, pretty simple, straightforward. Again, this is the dual arm FT350 model. So you've got this here to assist in mounting, you know, lower profile tires and things like that, from my understanding. And you've got this roller here as well, which would do the same concept, I suppose. But I'm not quite sure how that works, but yeah, it's all there. Maybe I'll figure it out eventually. Anyway, maybe it goes underneath. I don't know. Maybe that's how it goes. I couldn't tell you. I'm assuming that's probably what it is, because it's pretty strong. But anyway, pretty straightforward, setting that up. This piece does not come installed either, I don't think, but it's just these fittings there. Or not fittings, those set screws in there. I think the only tools you really need are a 17 mil, a 19 mil, an 8 mil Allen, and a 6 mil Allen, I think. Don't hold me to it, but I think those are the only tools you need for all this. This piece in that bolt is actually for in here. I guess it's to assist in the mounting or removing of tires, and then that slides into there, and then I guess it's supposed to help. You can push down on the tire or something. I'm not quite sure. That's just what my friend who helped me set this all up told me. He knows a lot more about it than I do, but he's not here. So I think that pretty much describes all that. Of course, clockwise, counterclockwise. Being a Chinese setup, some of these words and things don't quite make sense. But anyway, that is your bead blaster there. It says critical impact, whatever that means. But anyway, I suppose it's critical impact. Guess about as close as we're going to get to the Thunder gun down here. Too much Call of Duty with the kids, I guess. All the rest of it is pretty straightforward. I think I've covered all the basics. They say you don't even have to bolt them down. Even the manual says you don't even have to bolt this thing down, but I'd probably recommend it, and I think I will yet. And what else? I think I covered all of this one here. Pretty much all the rest is pretty self-explanatory. Comes with this tire tool. Was actually in that bag there. And yeah, what else? I think that pretty much sums up all of that. Oh yeah, the cover. There's a cover that goes over that. It says #1 over there, but it doesn't fit very well, and I don't think I need it, so I'm going to leave it off. And hopefully I'm not missing anything, but if I am, just ask in the comments, and I will do my best to answer. I think that sums up the critical part. Maybe Buddy will remind me of something I'm forgetting. Anyway, and then you got your tire balancer. This is pretty much the only thing you have to mount. So you've got the 2 screws, 1 on each side there. You take that off. There's 4 bolts in there, 2 and 2. They're kind of hard to get up there and there. There's a wire in there for the switch. It's just a switch. Open contact, close contact. You don't have to worry about which way the wires go on. It doesn't matter. And that's pretty simple. Like I said, there's nothing to it. 2 of those bolts are kind of hard to get at. I think they're 8 Allens. Don't hold me to it, but I think they're 8 Allens. And then there's a switch. You can hear it. That's how it works. And just to, you know, guard you from all the spray off of the dirty tires and stuff. And this stuff, and this one random weight, that's the only weight you get with that random wannabe manual over there. Manual doesn't do much for you, but anyway, there's that. And this piece here, of course, and then you've got your different fittings. Now, this one here, you can pop this off. You see those 3 points on there? 1, 2, 3. You can pop that off. That's just where it locks in. There's nothing special to it. Just gotta be real careful because they break pretty easy. This one's already broken. You can see there's 2 of the 3 are broken in there already, but it still works. If you want, you can pop that off and pop this one on, and then it works as a spacer in here as well. Big contact point for some tires. You might need them. A rubber, maybe it works as a damper as well. And anyway, this is connected already, I think, from the factory, so you don't need to mess with that. It conveniently sits right on this little set screw there. I suppose maybe that's what it's for. And again, this one's got a switch in the back, so you got to make sure that's turned on, plugged in. And very, very simple machines to service apparently as well. The one video I was watching, I couldn't find anything really helpful on the internet that was logical and organized. So me with my horrible ADHD is going to give it a shot. In here, if you take that cover off, there's not much in there. It's all very, very simple. If for whatever reason you couldn't figure it out, pop a couple of screws off, and then you should be able to see how all those air lines are routed in there. But yeah, most of it's pretty straightforward. And I've got one of these cone adapters on here already. You don't have to do it on the inside, but I think it works better for the wheel that we're going to do. And then, yeah, like I said, there's more fittings and things in there. I'm sure there's a couple things I'm missing, but this one was pretty straightforward. Comes with that tool as well. I honestly don't even know where these go. I got to figure that out yet, but hopefully I will figure that out yet. I'm curious now myself. But anyway, so first things first, we're going to put that back down again. And if you don't know how to do tires, again, I've never done this before in my life. Well, not much anyway. I'm not experienced, but there's not much to it. First thing you would do is remove any weights, because if you leave the weights on and you take the tire off, you're going to rip these plastics right off. So if you have any weights like that over there, then you want to take them off so you don't damage your wheels, your tire machine, everything. Then you take that out. These tools did not come with the unit, just so you know. I happen to have them already. You screw out your valve stem, which I already did. If you don't know what a valve stem is, that right there, the little red piece, there's another one there. Take that out to let all the air out. And of course this one just swivels to be able to fit different size tires. For spacing, you want to make sure you measure for the swing of the arm and everything. Oh look, Buddy's an idiot. He wants to balance himself because he's way out of balance. Anyway, put the shield down. Otherwise I can't move my arms here. And losing my train of thought over here. But yeah, as far as space goes, you just want to measure it out, make sure you have enough room for all that. And then to do this, I'm going to try to do this with one arm as much as I can. Maybe I'll get Buddy to help me here in a second. But roll that in there, and then you want to be careful. That's where it's coated in rubber to protect it. But yeah, then you do that, and you push the middle one here. And you want to make sure it's actually breaking the bead and not just rolling into the tire. So you got to be careful, kind of watch it release as necessary. And then once you've got the bead broken, of course, you pop it up here. And see these chunks of rubber here? That's what happens when you don't have lube on your tires. So you want to make sure you lube up your tires a little bit, if possible, so that you don't rip the tire up. This one's basically shot anyway, so I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, I would recommend that. Now again, you got to adjust this with the set screws there. I would adjust it to make sure that it goes on there like that, and that the lip is about there. And then once you've got that, push that handle tight. I think it lifts at 1 millimeter. Here, you can hold that now. That'll make it easier for me. And then grab this handy tire tool here. Now this lip right here is for the tool. So you want to make sure, you don't have to be that close, but you want to make sure that you get that tool in there like that. Actually, first things first, I didn't even lock this thing down. So, of course, to release that in there, you push that out, make sure the wheel is flat on there. There, now we can do this properly. And then, of course, like I said, you line that up, pop it down on there, and then push that tight. And then, once you got the bead broken, you have to break it on both sides, by the way. Make sure it's broken on both sides, or both ends, top and bottom, and on both sides as well. And then you get it in there carefully. You don't want to damage your wheel. Of course, I don't care about this ugly Volkswagen wheel. But then, again, you want it to be lubed up. Lubrication is very important. So then, I think this is more for mounting, but in some tricky cases, what you can do, push this arm down, push down on this lever right here. Make sure you're kind of following me here. You don't have to be that close, man. This switch here would put pressure down. That's for, I think, more for mounting the tires. And this roller would probably even do something similar. But then, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. You pop it off, and then you lift it up. See that? See all these chunks missing? Man, that's a shame. What a shame indeed. Yeah, so you don't want that. Just pause it for a second. We're going to grab some lube first. This is ridiculous. This is all I have, unfortunately. But we're going to do that because, yeah, this is not good. We're going to end up ripping this tire to shreds if I don't lube it a little bit. So I will continue this in a second. So you want to make sure that the tire is sitting up in this groove here, or a bevel, or whatever you call it, so that it has room to shift a little bit. Can you see what I'm doing there in the video? Okay, good. Anyway, so it can move back and forth a little bit because it has to, it has to shift a little bit. So now, same concept. In here, we're gonna raise it up, go in there, lift it up, and pop it over. There we go. And now, I'm making a mess is what I'm doing, but so I think that should be enough lube to do that. So you want to make sure that this, you got your foot on the right one, and then take that out, make sure that this is up and well, I got to get me better set up. But then, so tires off just like that. That's it. And then of course you'd release this, pop this off, push this button again, and you'd be set. But since we're not doing that today, I'm just gonna lube up the bead a little bit like this, and then we're gonna put it back on again. Man, all these chunks of rubber. I'm just ripping this tire to shreds. I'm learning hard lessons so you guys don't have to. So then, to put it back on again, you basically, here, come over here because you got to be able to see what's going on over here. So, to put it back on, pretty straightforward here, hold that. In here, you want it to be on top of this and underneath, or actually vice versa. On top of that, underneath that. Pretty straightforward here, hold it so they can see. So let's give that a shot. Now, one very, very important thing to remember while we're here, valve stem. If you have tire pressure sensors, you want them to be right about there when you start and when you finish, because otherwise you will break those things off so freaking quick when the tire shifts on there. Yeah, so be very, very freaking careful with that, or you will break those valve stems, right, or the tire pressure sensors right off. So yeah, be careful with that. Here, hold that again. And then, yeah, let's just, I kind of started and now I didn't actually finish it, but here, let's just do that. I guess it'll push it on. There we go. And then, same thing when you're starting. So you want to make sure the tire pressure sensor, which I don't have any of course, but they would be lined up there to where it's safe. This goes on here, this goes under here. A little bit of pressure. This is where this arm, you don't have to be so close. This arm would come in handy. So what you would do is you would go down here, push pressure down with the switch. No, don't do anything. Just follow me, okay? Back away a little bit. And then you would push down on this, that, put pressure on it, and then it'll just roll around with the wheel, of course, just like that. Real handy, but I don't believe I need it for this one. So we're going to spin that on. And I guess I'll just let the machine do the work. So just like that. And again, watch out for the tire pressure sensor. You release that. That's what that is for. And then you'd fill it. Ideally, you would fill it. And then, let's see if this will work. I haven't actually tried this unit yet, but we'll give it a shot. Is it going? Nah, it's not going. I don't have enough pressure here to actually do anything, I think, is the problem. But that's okay. So, be a good time to address the air thing. You can use a little air compressor if you don't have anything else. I've got a nice big one ordered, an 80 gallon, like a 20 CFM, but I was just to test it a little bit. I was using this one, and because I've got that broken fitting, I think I mentioned earlier, I checked the fitting, it's actually cracked, so they're supposed to send me a new one. It leaks all the air out, so now I've got like 20 psi in there, which isn't very much. But anyway, you can use a little air compressor. It did work. I've tried it. I've done all of this stuff so far with just a little air compressor. But anyway, there you go. Sucks them back in again. You can take the wheel off, and then in spite of the fact that this wheel isn't balanced, just for the heck of it, or isn't beaded, just for the heck of it, let's see if I can show you how to use the balance machine. So we've already got this cone on here, right? We've got on the inside, this is spring loaded. So that's handy, you don't have to be so close. And then we're gonna slide this in here. Threads are pretty resilient. I don't think you need to worry about them too much based on what my friend's telling me. So this here releases the threading in there, so you can push it on. So you wanna get it on as far as you can. And then without shifting the whole damn machine, ideally. And then once you've got it on as far as you're gonna go, you tighten it up and make sure that it's on there well. And then you make sure it spins straight, right? The wheel, at least. The tire, of course, isn't beaded. So then flip the switch back there. So first I'll explain this to you. So you've got your measurement from the machine to the tire. Then you've got your wheel width, I believe it is. And then you've got your rim size. So this machine does it automatically. This little measuring tool here, put it on the inside of the wheel, you'll notice the screen go black. We're gonna put it right on there. Screen goes black, and then wait for it to go red. Then you release and drop it back down here again. We've got 4.5 inches, I think is what it stands for. The total distance. And then 5.7, you get this handy tool as well. You can hold that now. And then you measure from your wheel, just like that. We are 7 inches. So you look up here where you want to look up there where you see the width, and you've got that. Now you'll get different numbers on either side as well for more diverse measurements, I think. I'm not even sure. But anyway, we're going to hang that back up here. And 7 is what I said, right? So then we go up and we go 7. And then we know this to be a 15-inch tire if you're not sure. It always says it on the thing, R15. If not, you could measure it with that tool as well. And this here, I mean, that's really all you need. We'll put it up to 15. I have to click it twice for it to start actually doing it. This flashes until you're ready. And this would just be a static balance. I think it kind of automatically sets itself, and I think you'd be just fine if you did that. Let's give it a shot. Drop it down. And you'll see it wobbling, of course. It's going to try to balance it, but it's going to be way off, I'm sure. So then it starts slowing it down. I find with much bigger wheels it has a harder time. I might have to help even with a big truck tire. I might even have to help spin it up a little bit for this machine to do them, but we'll have to see. So now that's in grams, 130 grams for each side. So it's going to need 130 grams on the inside of the wheel in there. And don't mind the beeping, it's just because I'm spinning the wheel. So you can see we've got some weights down in there already. And then we've got some weights. We used to have some weights here. So for the inside, the weights go there. And then for the outside, the weights go there. And it says 130 grams each. So you can convert that to ounces. I only have 1/4 ounce and 1/2 ounce weights there. But anyway, that's what that would do. We're not going to balance this tire right now. But then you would spin it. And then if it points up, then you would spin it. If it points down, you would spin it up until it balances right there on the left. So you would put it right dead center, 12 o'clock up here is where you'd put it, where you'd put the weight in the tire right there. And then for the other one, it shows up. So you spin it down until it balances right there. And then the same thing. You would do 12 o'clock up top on the inside. That's where you'd put your weights. And then, of course, you do it again, and it would just start the process again. It would spin it again. And then balance it. And now the book kind of tells you how to calibrate it, I think, a little bit, just in case you want to do that. I think it's kind of self-calibrating anyway. I don't think you really need to worry about that, but just in case you want to give that a shot. If I find out I have issues, then we'll see. But yeah, that's basically it, and that would be one balanced. And then, of course, you release that again. I guess I'm going to have to bolt this thing down. It kind of slides when I mess with this. So then you can even just release that. Take that back off. Here, I'll give that back to you. And then you take that wheel off. And yeah, it'd be done, which of course it isn't. But now what we'll do actually is, so here you can see your weight placement in there. So with that wheel, like I showed you, weights on the inside and on the outside, they're both the same. Now with a wheel like this right here, you've got a lip. I showed you that weight earlier. The lips that pound onto the lip are the weights that pound onto the lip. And then for the inside, you don't have that lip though. So there you'd have to put stick a weight on the inside and tap one on the outside, or vice versa, actually tap one on the inside and stick one on for the outside. And that's where you would use these. That's, if it's like that, then of course it's a tap on weight, and that would be a stick on weight. And this is more, I think it's static, more like for motorcycles and stuff. But these would be the two main. And to change that, you would click that twice, I believe. And I'm not even sure what it's doing there now. Maybe it's doing it based on a different wheel. I'm not quite sure. But I guess it automatically calibrates all that. I'm not quite sure, but that's stuff that I'd have to experiment with to know for sure. But I think a basic static one would be that, and then yeah, so forth. I'll have to figure that out yet, but that should give you an idea of what to start with, which I knew for sure what those exactly do. But I'm just going to go back to where it was. And I think this just changes the measurements. I'm not sure what we're measuring, but millimeter to inches. But yeah, like I said, that's it. Just going to flip the switch off again. I don't think there's anything else to it, or much else. I'm sure there's some things, but if I missed anything drastic, please mention it in the comments. I'm still learning too, so if you guys have some advice, feel free to share. Hopefully this video helps somebody. I couldn't find anything online, so that's the reason for this video. But anyway, as always, may God bless you.